Thanks for joining us for another edition of Progress and Promise, our beautiful coastline and what is the best use of it. That's been at the heart of the economic and environmental discussion in the last 14 years I've lived here. We've made great progress in improving the water quality of our area, and now two things have come up that are highlighting the steps we've made so far and the road we want to go down in the future. Both are tied to the BP oil spill of 2010. One is the proposal by the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission to build a fishery enhancement center, a hatchery, on Bruce Beach west of the Community Maritime Park site in downtown. Funding for that project, which was made official late last year, comes from money provided by the oil giant to restore the ecology and environment in communities damaged by the spill following the Deepwater Horizon. But as the project has come closer to fruition, questions have been raised about the hatchery and whether it is the best fit not only for the local habitat, but also for the vision of our renaissance of downtown. The other is the Restore Act. Locally, we have advisory committees assembled to vet projects proposed for funding through the Restore Act process. And it's a good thing, too, because the Restore money could total millions of dollars, a sum this community is not likely to see for decades to come. Joining me today to discuss these topics are executive producer Quint Studer, who we're always happy to have with us, and Christian Wagley. Christian, can you tell the folks a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. I actually grew up in Maryland, came to graduate school at the University of West Florida back in 1994 to study biology and coastal studies, and been sticking around here, the Panhandle, ever since, working on green building, environmental issues, and have really, I guess, become an advocate in the community as much as anything for environmental issues and creating a walkable, bike-friendly city as well. So.
Well, great, and we are so happy that you are doing all that wonderful work for our downtown. One of something you left off your resume, but that is equally impressive, is that you are a member of this Restore Committee. Can you tell the folks some about what y'all are doing and how that is supposed to work? Because people hear the BP money, and it sounds like a great big pot of gold out there at the end of the rainbow, but it's a little more complicated than that.
Yeah, it gets confusing because there's so many different pots of BP money moving around, but the Restore money is really the big one. It's going to be between $5 and $20 billion total. And the amount of that comes to Escambia County is going to be between $100 and $150 million. And so I'm fond of saying, as are many, that from tragedy can come opportunity. And I think that's what we can look at here with the Restore money that's coming back to our area. The committee that I'm on is there are 9 members working on the best uses of that money for Escambia County. And like I said, we don't even know how much that money is going to be yet, so we're a little bit ahead of the game. But we've been following a process very much like what the Urban Redevelopment Committee went through in the city in terms of hearing from experts, hearing from the community, taking our time, and really trying to get it right. And so the major decisions yet on how to use the money haven't even been made yet. But.
Tell us some about who the other members of your committee, the Restore Committee, are, because they did try to get a real cross-section of folks so that it's not representative of only one kind of interest.
Sure. You know, the city had an appointee. That's been Tina Terry from Gulf Power, who's actually the chair, and she runs a very good meeting, very sharp, very capable, and showing great leadership with that. There are a couple of people with transportation expertise, business expertise, governmental expertise. I don't know if you want me to name them all. There's 9 people, so.
No, I think just what we want to convey is that it's not, we want to hear from a lot of different voices. It's not just an environmental group or just a government group.
Right, it's very broad, and what we've done through our process is we've invited a number of different people to come and kind of testify before us, because I think it's important to know, if you're going to try to decide how to spend the money, you need to know what the deficiencies are in the community first. What are the issues and the things that need to be corrected? And I think we've done a very good job of getting people from the universities, from economic development, from environmental side of things, some of the traditionally disadvantaged communities to come before us. And so I think hopefully everybody feels really good so far about the process we've followed. So it's mainly been that information collection so far, and now in the first part of this new year, we'll start getting down to starting to I guess, to prioritize where we think the money should be spent. But we're just getting to that point now.
What are some of the themes? I know it's early, but you said you've taken a ton of public input, which is extremely important in this process. What are some of, like, a couple, 3 of the themes that are emerging in terms of what the areas are that we need to address?
Yeah, I would say some of the communities that have really come forward and spoken very strongly about some of these deficiencies in the community and where things need to be corrected. One is actually the disabled communities, looking at so many deficiencies in our existing infrastructure where people cannot safely walk, get a wheelchair through. Just the facilities are not accessible, and even something as simple as the beach, where somebody, I mean, there's a woman that's come to a lot of our meetings who talks about about how she has never touched the Gulf of Mexico because she can't get, there's literally no easy way for her to get down to the water's edge. And so there are these needs in the community, and that's certainly an idea of a project that could be done to help to correct these deficiencies throughout our public infrastructure. But the disabled community has been very well represented and has spoken very strongly about these needs. The environmental community as well, which would certainly make sense because I think first and foremost this really was an environmental disaster that then became an economic disaster and a community disaster as well. They've spoken very strongly about not only fixing the damage from the spill, but the damage we've had in this area that goes back many years in terms of our bays, especially in our water quality. And I guess overall, a lot of the disadvantaged and older neighborhoods, a lot of the older in-town neighborhoods that traditionally have been left behind as Americans moved, and we did it in Pensacola as well. We got in our automobiles and we sprawled out and we moved out to the edge of town and we left behind these neighborhoods to decay. Places like Belmont de Villiers or Brownsville or any number of those older neighborhoods like that. The folks from those neighborhoods have really participated and come to our meetings and spoken very eloquently about the need to, I guess that basic idea that you fix what's broken before you go out and build new things.
Something new.
Right.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Christian, when we look at organizations we work with, my company, we always find if you have a decision matrix before the issue is there. Because once the issue comes, the emotions get involved. So when you look at prioritization, for example, we always like to say, is this how is it weighted? What type of metrics or what type of matrix are you using to prioritize? Is there a process you're using?
We're not quite there yet.
Okay.
We're actually hiring a consultant to kind of help us through that process here early in the new year. Like I said, mostly so far now we've just kind of gotten all the information and now we need to start getting those ideas down.
Well, because that takes the emotion out of it. And once a project hits the floor, then the emotion takes over. If you have a weighted system, how things are going to be weighted, such as disadvantage, such as, handicapped, those things are, if they're weighted higher, then when those organizations come out on top or investment in certain local projects, I think that just makes it easier. What about the court case? Isn't there a court case going on still with this?
That's right. I mean, the money that's going to come back to our area is still in litigation. I mean, that case is the case against BP. This is for Clean Water Act fines, and that case is in New Orleans, and it'll start up for a while, and they'll go, and then they'll shut down for a while. But the numbers they talk about between $5 and $20 billion again, and so again, we're already planning for it. We're ahead of the game, but the money's not here yet. So.
But it's not a matter of, I think, if you're going to get money, it's probably the amount of money. Is that right?
That's correct. I mean, the money's definitely coming. And the local pot is only one part of the restore equation. There's a state pot of money as well. There's a pot that's kind of over the whole Gulf of Mexico for larger ecological restoration. There's a lot of money flowing there, which can be, opportunity. There's also can be great peril in that as well in terms of what you choose to do. But.
Well, what I've heard is this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for people in this community, and I think it's important to have a group like yourself that's, independent, diverse, that can make these decisions, because I think that's what would lead to better decision making.
Yeah, I think you've got to ultimately have the people's trust, and I think we've done a very good job of, for example, early in the process, we moved our meetings to the board chambers downtown, the Board of County Commissioners chambers, so the meetings could all be televised.
Absolutely.
So that everybody, because there are a lot of people that can't come to the meetings and they can watch them. We also, there was talk about having meetings in the morning. We moved them, and they've all been at 4 o'clock in the afternoon now, which a lot of times people can leave work and come. Much more accessible than if we had them at 10 a.m.
Do you have a schedule of meetings or a place that folks can go to kind of find out more about the process and come and watch the meetings or participate if they want to?
Sure, yeah. We meet the first Monday of every month at 4 p.m. in that Escambia County Board of County Commissioners chambers down there on Palafox Street. If you go to the county website, there's a page for Restore. Probably the easiest thing is just to go and type Restore in the search part there, and then you can read every single document that we read, minutes of every meeting, videos of every meeting if you really want to get into it.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. If you stick around with us, we have yet another topic to go into, so we're going to take a wee break, and we'll be back in a second.